Hey everyone, and welcome. If you've ever tried to learn Arabic and just felt completely overwhelmed by the verbs, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're going to crack the code on a system that makes learning them feel a lot less like a chore and, honestly, a lot more like solving a really satisfying puzzle. So, does this look familiar? You're staring at what feels like a totally random, endless list of verbs. Every single new word feels like its own unpredictable puzzle, right? You work so hard to memorize one, and the very next one you learn seems to play by a completely different set of rules. It is just incredibly frustrating. But here's the secret, the thing that changes everything. Beneath all that apparent chaos, there's actually a surprisingly logical system. It's a code. And once you crack it, you can unlock hundreds, literally hundreds of verbs all at once. Okay, so let's start with the simple past tense, what's called al-madi al-basit in Arabic. This is for actions that are done, finished. Now here's the key insight. For a huge number of verbs, making the past tense isn't random at all. It follows a very simple, very predictable pattern. That word is everything. So, how does this pattern actually work? Well, it's a super simple two-step formula. First, you just take the verb's most basic form, which is usually a three-letter root. You can think of this as the verb's DNA. Then, step 2, you just stick a specific ending, a suffix, onto it that matches who's doing the action. You know, I, you, she, and so on. Seriously, that's it. And here you can see that system in action. Look at this. We have 3 totally different roots for to write, to study, and to work. Now to say that I did the action for any of them, you add the exact same suffix, this to sound, to each one. So you get katabtu, darastu, amaltu. It just becomes a simple plug-and-play system. Once you learn that one suffix, you've just figured out how to conjugate a massive chunk of verbs. Okay, I know what you're thinking. That seems almost too easy, right? If you're sitting there thinking, there has to be a catch, well, you're absolutely right. And understanding this catch is probably the single most important part of our whole code-breaking mission today. So here it is, the big reveal. All Arabic verbs basically fall into 2 main camps. First, you have the ones we just looked at, the regular verbs. They're the good ones. They follow the rules perfectly. The root stays the same, you just add the ending. But then you have the irregular verbs. These are the rebels. They do not follow the pattern. In fact, their root letters can twist, change, or sometimes just vanish when you conjugate them. And you know, wouldn't you know it, some of the most common verbs you use every day, like to say, to be, to see, and to come, they're all irregular. But hey, don't panic. The point here isn't to memorize this list right now. It's to realize that these exceptions aren't just random chaos. They're a specific, known group of troublemakers that you can actually tackle one by one. This really is the heart of it. This is your new strategy. Your job is no longer to be a simple memorizer. You're now a detective. When you see a new verb, your first question is simple. Is this guy regular or irregular? Just knowing which rule book to open, well, that changes the entire game. So what does this mean for you? You know, in practical terms. It means that knowing this one difference, well, that's your new learning superpower. It gives you a completely different foundation to build your studying on. It means you can finally stop guessing. You have a framework now. When you meet a new verb, you can figure out if it's regular. If it is, awesome, you know exactly what to do. Apply the pattern. And if it's irregular, okay, you know it needs special attention. This completely transforms you from being a passive person just memorizing lists into an active analyst of the language. So when you boil it all down, your entire approach to verbs now looks like this. Every single verb in the language fits into one of 2 buckets. You've got the rule, that's for all the predictable regular verbs. And you've got the exceptions, that small, defined group of irregulars. Suddenly, that huge, scary mountain of verbs feels a lot more manageable, doesn't it? So I'm going to leave you with this question. Now that you're a code breaker, now that you can see the system, what's your strategy going to be? Do you master the rule first to get the biggest bang for your buck? Or do you go straight for the common exceptions, since you'll be running into them all the time? Your answer is going to shape your entire learning journey from here on out.